Good evening to you. This is Todd. I'm just a regular dude walking in the Word. We're continuing our journey through the book of Mark, and we're in Mark 14. We're getting toward the end of Jesus' life here on earth. And tonight we are going to be looking at Jesus as he is going to Gethsemane. Now, he had the last episode we had talked about how they were having the Last Supper, and there he confronted Judas and gave him a chance to repent. And then also there, he told Peter, he said, "You're going to deny me 3 times." And he said to the other disciples, "You all are going to desert me." And then they had the Last Supper, which consisted of the Passover, which was bread, unleavened bread, and roasted lamb. And then they also had wine also. And we talked about that already. Tonight we're going to be reading from Mark 14, verses 32 through 42. I'm doing it in a setting like this to give you a better idea how this happened. It wasn't in the bright daylight. The Pharisees wanted to arrest Jesus at night, kind of as a secret thing, so that they wouldn't attract attention from other people. They were trying to do things really underhandedly. And Jesus is going to even say to them, he'll say, "You know what, I was preaching, I was talking every day in the temple. Why didn't you arrest me there?" And, of course they don't have an answer for it. And Jesus, said, "My time has come. It's time for me to be arrested and crucified." So I'm going to read this tonight. It's going to be a little harder out here in the dark. And, we had talked about, we're talking about tonight, Jesus is leaving Gethsemane, or he's leaving the Last Supper. They're walking, and as they're walking, that was the last episode. As they're walking, that's when he's talking to his disciples, kind of saying some last things to them. And now they get to Gethsemane, and Gethsemane is kind of a garden park area. I don't know, it'd be like similar today as like we have the Celery Fields or Mount Palmer or Rothenbach Park. So a setting similar to that. And Jesus went really there to pray and prepare for his, spiritually for what was coming up. So let me read this. Bear with me. I have my Bible here. And so I'm using the little lantern and the candles to read from. So it says this: "They went to a place called Gethsemane, and Jesus said to his disciples, 'Sit here while I pray.' He took Peter, James, and John along with him, and he began to be deeply distressed and troubled. 'My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death,' he said to them. 'Stay here and keep watch.'" Now Jesus is deeply in sorrow and overwhelmed because he knows what's coming, crucifixion. Okay? Going a little further, he fell to the ground and prayed that if possible, the hour might pass from him. "Abba," which means Father, he said, "everything is possible for you. Take this cup from me, yet not what I will, but what you will." I want you to focus on that sentence there. It's very, very important here. Jesus said, yet not what I will, but you will. And I pray that every day. I pray, Lord, may it be your will that's done today in my life, and not my will, but your will. And hopefully my will starts to change to God's will. But Jesus had said that, before his crucifixion, he said, yet not what I will, but what you will. He wasn't too excited about, jumping into the crucifixion there, but he wanted to fulfill God's will. Okay? Verse 37, "Then he returned to his disciples and found them sleeping. 'Simon,' he said to Peter, 'are you asleep? Couldn't you keep watch for 1 hour?'" Okay, so these disciples, they're snoozing. Okay, they're tired, they're wiped out. Jesus is off praying. Okay? Verse 38 is another big verse here. "Watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak." Let me reread that verse. Watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Once more, he went away and prayed the same thing. When he came back, he again found them asleep because their eyes were heavy. They did not know what to say to him. You know, you're in a deep sleep like that, and someone wakes you up, and you're like, what's going on? They don't know where they are or anything. They're just in a deep sleep. Returning the third time, he said to them, "Are you still sleeping and resting? Enough, the hour has come. Look, the Son of Man is delivered into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us go. Here comes my betrayer." Jesus had seen that Judas was coming and was bringing the entourage of the Pharisees and the guards and those that were about to arrest him. In the next episode, we're going to talk about Jesus being arrested. There's two key verses here tonight that I want you to focus on. It's this. Jesus says, "Yet not what I will, but what you will." Okay? Let's make that our prayer, that we would do God's will in everything that we do. Just like Jesus prayed, he didn't want to, it wasn't his, desire to be crucified. Oh, let me go get crucified. No. But he wanted to, first of all, fulfill God's will. Okay? And that should be our heart, is to fulfill what God's will for us is. Okay? The second thing I want you to see is this. He says, watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. Okay? We need to be watching. We need to be praying, okay, to fall into temptation. The more I'm praying, the more I'm in the Word, the less temptation I have. Now, that's not to say it doesn't come, but the temptation is going to come all the time, and I'll be hammered with it. But if I'm in the Word and if I'm in prayer, less likely, if I'm walking down the road praying, and a car comes out and let's say I'm running and I'm praying, and a car comes out and almost hits me, I'm less likely to be mad and start throwing things at it and screaming and yelling and cursing at it if I'm already praying, okay? So, I might be still a little upset, but I'm not going to react as bad. And he says, watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. And here he says, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. The spirit, our spirit wants to do stuff, but our flesh is weak. It's with all kinds of stuff. I want to pray more. I want to read the Bible more, but then I fall asleep. I'm tired. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. You even find it in the worldly stuff that you do. You want to exercise more. You want to eat right. Your spirit says, I need to eat right. I need to exercise more. But the flesh is like, no, man, I want to eat 3 hamburgers today, and I don't really want to exercise. So anyway, that's what Jesus had said here to that. So those are the things I'd like us to focus on today, is that the big thing is doing God's will and not our will, okay? And then the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. All right? Tomorrow we're going to continue on. We're going to look at Jesus' arrest. Thanks for watching, and I'm just a regular dude walking in the Word. We'll see you next episode. Blessings. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention this. I kind of lose track of the episodes here. This is episode 101 of Mark. When we first started this out, I thought, we'll fly through Mark here. Mark is actually a short book of the Gospels, the shortest of the Gospels, but it's taken us 101 episodes so far, and we're not finished, to get through the book of Mark. And so we're continuing on. We're marching on. Hopefully someday we'll have the whole Bible done. But we're going to keep walking through the Word, and we're going to study this thing. We want to learn it inside out. So anyway, tomorrow will be 102. How about that? So Lord's blessing. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.